The worst punishments in human history.
Work our way
All
towards
right.
the stuff
Yeah,
of
but we should like say
nightmares.
if we were able
Number
to take that
10,
shit or
the
not.
rat.
You said what?
Huh? Oh yeah.
What'd you say?
Almost up.
We should like.
Yo, what,
See,
bro?
he said we should see if we could take that shit or not. I don't know what you talking about.
Yo, hey. No, I'll pass, bro.
I meant like we should like see if we could get through it.
I'm in out for 3 million seconds.
No, we're gonna edit it out, man. The worst punishments in human history.
Let's start with the bad and slowly work our way towards the stuff of nightmares. Number 10, the Rat Dungeon. If you were alive in London, England during the medieval period, you would have definitely heard about the Rat
Nah,
Dungeon.
shout out London.
Since
Shout out
this
London.
punishment struck paralyzing fear into the hearts of even the most hardened criminals. This was a cell that was located at the bottom of the London Tower, where prisoners were shackled and chained in complete darkness. But here's the thing, the dungeon was connected to the nearby river and just below...
Yo, what is funny, bro?
That'll be good though.
Now just go to YouTube, yo. See what's good YouTube in chat.
river's water line, so that when the water levels rose,
just going
all
on
the
YouTube?
rats that lived along
Yeah,
the
so it's good
riverbed
YouTube in
would be
chat.
pushed out of their shelters and forced to swim downstream. This would of course lead the hungry and angry rats towards the entrance of the dungeon, where they would then come face to face with the prisoner. But to the unlucky prisoner, he never actually saw anything, and all he would hear were the soft scurries of the rat's feet entering the dungeon. And in a matter of minutes, these soft noises were in the hundreds and all around him. These angry and aggressive rats would then begin to take small bites from the prisoner, who had...
Yo, Riley, could you take this? Could you take it?
I could low key, yeah. Like I'd be fighting off the rats. Like why are you not fighting?
You're
back?
chained. He's chained down, dude.
Like how chained? Is it to the wall or is it like chained?
Yeah, it's to the wall.
Look at it, bro. I'm saying?
He's to the
That's what I'm
wall.
saying. I could,
Also, bro, he's probably been there for days. He probably hasn't eaten in like forever.
nah, I could fight that back there.
What are you fighting? You're chained against the wall, bro.
I
No
got that,
way.
bro.
I believe in you.
Yeah, you gotta
defending
believe in
himself.
yourself.
Now he
Believe in
might
it.
be able to
I
shake the
believe in
rats
you.
off for a few hours,
Hey,
but
listen.
eventually the prisoner would pass out from pure exhaustion.
They gonna keep coming, dude. They're not gonna stop there.
Remember, they can keep
And while
going.
he slept, the rats would continue to take bites from his flesh. Eventually, when he would wake up, he would discover hundreds of bites
Oh, he's not
throughout
even
his
dead.
entire body. But
It's
it
just like
didn't stop
punishment.
there. The prisoner was left here for
Oh,
days
shit.
or weeks on end, depending on his crime. But towards the
You
end of
don't
the
get
medieval
leg.
period, this form of punishment just got more and more deranged,
And my
eventually
phone at
becoming
9,
a form
so
of...
like when I cut off, I cut off.
You said what?
My phone at 9, so when I cut off, I cut off.
You could charge it, but
No,
it's like
no, the charger's not working. It's plugged in right now, but it's like it keeps going down.
I ain't really Houston.
execution, where prisoners would just be thrown in the dungeon and forgotten about.
Hey, what?
Number 9, the rack. This was yet
Oh, I've seen
another
this one.
punishment that took place in the London Tower. The rack was a torture device that was used in many places throughout history. This form of punishment was originally designed for getting a confession, usually from criminals, slaves, or prisoners of war. The device looked like a large ladder, but instead of secure
like
steps,
stretches
it
you.
would actually rotate
Yeah.
like a rolling pin. You see, when a prisoner was placed on the rack, he would have his feet and wrists tied to a ratchet pulley system, where 2 legal officials would slowly tighten the ropes and locking them in place, placing an increasing amount of strain on the prisoner's shoulders, hips, knees, and elbows with every single turn. This was all done to get information, but of course, a lot of the times the truth was not accepted as reality, and the prisoner would then begin to say whatever he believed the officials wanted to hear. Sometimes it would work and the prisoners would be let go, while other times they would be tortured even more for lying. When the whole ordeal was over, prisoners were usually released with dislocated joints, but oftentimes they were left completely paralyzed. That was the case in England in 1447 when a 25-year-old girl named Anne Askew would be tortured on the rack for hours and hours on end and left completely paralyzed after all her joints were dislocated. She was then carried on a chair and burned alive at the stake. All
Holy
this because
shit.
she read and memorized scriptures from the Bible, which she preached in private to a small group of women, which were the exact women she refused to name and expose during her torture. You see, during this time period, if you followed any religion other than the Catholic Church, you better not say a word to anybody, including your own husband, which was the person that turned her in.
Oh,
Number 8.
Yo, could you take that one?
yeah, bro. I would be good at
Kill.
that, bro.
You
I
say
would have
you-
just told them what they want to hear.
They still kill you.
Oh,
Yeah, they still they still
no,
kill you.
burning at the stakes too much though. I can't be doing that.
What, man? It be happening
Like
to
they
you.
said they burn her. They said they burn her alive and shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can be. I can do that.
I don't think you got a choice.
No.
Hauling. This brutal punishment was carried out at sea on sailors who would steal or be violent towards others and would usually result in death. Keel hauling would start with a sailor having his arms tied with a rope, then looped around the entire circumference of the ship before being tied off to his feet. The sailor would then be thrown overboard while the group of men on board pulled on the rope to slowly drag him around the outside of the ship, including over the keel, which is how this punishment gets its name. But a lot of the times, the sailor wouldn't even have to worry about it, since they were dead before they ever reached it. Kinda just depends on how hard the guys on the rope feel like working that day. Not only would the sailors be drowning and getting their backs and necks broken on the keel, they were also getting sliced apart like a cheese grater by all the sharp barnacles on the outside of the ship. But if by some miracle a sailor actually happens to make it all the way around the ship without dying, one of 3 things will happen. 1, he would be sent for round 2 and for sure be dead by then. 2, be freed and allowed back on the ship, where he would then slowly die to infections. Or 3, live the rest of his life single and being made fun of since he was now fully covered in scars from head to toe. Number 7, crushed by elephants.
That's lucky the worst one.
Now we are getting to the part of the
This one?
list where lip
No, the last one.
Oh yeah, that's a
Ligma.
what?
They're better than that
Oh,
guy.
shit. My fault, Riley. I got you muted. What you said? My fault.
Yo, squash the beef.
Nah, this shit like hella loud. I'm saying.
Yeah.
Yo, Ed, are you watching that?
Yeah, tell Pops to turn that.
Yo, it's just straight ads. It's just straight ads.
You can watch his infomercials. What you doing?
Yo, I got 700 channel points, dude. I'm going crazy. Wait till we able to do polls. Crushed by elephants.
living is no longer an option. This form of punishment has been used by many countries throughout history, but was most recently used by India in the 19th century, which is really not that long ago if you really think about it. Like, your great-grandma could have witnessed one of these. What type of crimes would you have to commit to be crushed by an elephant, you might ask? Well, apparently if you failed to pay your taxes, that was good enough. And of course, stealing or being an enemy soldier was also a great way to become a tortilla. But the most disturbing case in history was when the 4th Mughal Emperor of India ordered an enormous amount of criminals to be crushed to death in a single day, simply because he was bored and needed some entertainment. The guy who forgot to pay his taxes, crushed. The man who stole an apple from the local market, crushed. The little orphan who jaywalked across the street, crushed. The man who murdered his neighbor and added his remains to a large pot of tomato soup, then fed that soup to his family and watched them eat it from the shadows with a creepy smirk on his face. He's alright. Apparently he makes a damn good soup.
Oh,
You don't even got an ad blocker, bro.
yo,
There are a
it was
few
messing
ways
up, bro.
public
This one, that would end fast though, don't it?
execution goes down. But one thing always
That one just
stays
ends
the
fast.
same. There's always a guy on top of the elephant controlling its every move. And this was very intentional, as this was meant to showcase just how amazing the ruling class were. I mean, look at them. They can control an elephant. Now be impressed. The first method of execution was the one that you better pray for if this was going to be your fate. Here, the criminals would have their arms tied behind their back and their heads placed on a pedestal, where it was then crushed like a grape by the elephant's foot. Now, the second method is much more cruel.
Could you, like,
The
mute it
criminal
when the
would be
ads are
placed
on?
flat on the floor with their arms tied behind their backs. Then the elephants would be guided to walk over the person's body,
sorry.
and hopefully the criminal would die on the first go. But sometimes they just end up crushing a leg or an arm, so the elephant then has to make a U-turn and try again and again and again. The final and worst way is when a highly trained elephant was guided to slowly crush the person limb by limb. They would first crush the arms, then the legs, and then poke holes in them with the tusk until eventually dealing the final blow to the head or torso. This is the more theatrical route that rulers like the Fourth Mogul love to take, and made for a truly traumatizing experience for everyone. Except for the Fourth Mogul. He loved it. Number 6. Impalement. Probably one of the grossest and most cruel forms of punishment on the list. This has been used by a few countries throughout history, but was most recently used in Egypt in the 17th century, usually against criminals that were highway robbers, grave thieves, or anyone who would try and start a rebellion. This punishment would start by having a criminal lay flat on their stomachs with their arms tied behind their back. They would then be sliced open with a razor to increase the size of their back door. And as soon as that incision was made, the cut would be lathered with paste to instantly stop the blood. They would then thrust in a long wooden stake that was the width of a man's arm, which was sharply tapered on one end.
So
They
he's
then
feeling
begin
it.
to hit the wooden stake with the mallet, pushing it further and further in. And of course, the steak was greased up beforehand to make this process a lot smoother. And once the steak has popped out of the criminal's shoulder, head, or mouth,
Yeah, you might
they
have.
were pretty much long gone. He is then planted next to a busy road, like a Halloween decoration, to remind everyone that this is what happens when you break the law. They will be left there for the entire day and removed the following morning before the body begins to stink. But wait, there's another version of this as well. You see, on some occasions, the criminals would only be impaled just deep enough to keep them in place, but not too deep that it would cause immediate death. They would do this by having stakes that had a seated position on them to prevent the person from sliding down any further. They would then be placed on a busy road where they would suffer for hours and hours, pleading to people walking by for help, until eventually succumbing to their wounds. Number 5.
Could you take that one?
Buena
No, I couldn't take that little shit. I ain't gonna lie. That's too much.
Yeah. Like the raps one, I can look you.
Oh shit, I still got cut muted.
You said which one?
The rats one I could low key like do.
Bro, no, you couldn't, dude.
I could do the rats one.
You could survive it.
How long are you in there for?
You're in there till you die, man. If they don't kill you, you're just gonna die from hunger.
I'm not surviving it, but out of all of them, like that one might be the least worst.
No, the elephant. The elephant could kill you quickest.
That's true.
Yo,
Yeah,
what
the
made people
elephant-
like this, man? Like, why was they doing this?
I really don't know. Like, who thinks of like doing that to somebody?
They ain't have like,
killing them?
they ain't have technology. They ain't have nothing to do. Probably.
Right, even if I didn't have technology, I wouldn't be impaling people like and like keeping them.
Now the yo. The pyramids, they give off electricity, bro.
What?
Like the pyramids, like they had electricity.
The pyramids gave off electricity.
Yeah, what correlation is that, bro?
What you mean? How's that not correlation? This is old, bro. This is like the 17th century.
We was talking about like impaling niggas.
Yeah, but they ain't have none to do. Which led them to do this. But I said because they ain't have
Nah, I don't think
like
that's like an excuse to be doing that though.
yeah, it's not. But I'm saying I'm just saying why, you feel me?
Like, are you saying if you didn't have internet, you'd be doing that?
Yeah.
Yo, that's not what I said at all, man.
Oh. I thought you were like siding with me. You can know both, bro.
Culé. Pena culé is
Y'all think
Latin
about
for penalty of the sack. And that's exactly what it was, just a lot more terrifying and cruel. This was an exclusive punishment for anyone that would murder their own family members. This was first seen in the 2nd century in Rome, but would later be used by the Germans in the 18th century. This all begins with a convicted murderer being placed inside a thick leather bag. But just to make sure the man isn't lonely, they would then add a dog, a rooster, a viper, and a monkey. I don't know what these animals did to deserve this, but hey, at least the evil family murderer doesn't die alone. Once all the animals are added inside the bag, it is then sewn shut, creating an almost airtight seal. Now you would think this would be horrible enough, but no, this is just the beginning. Because as soon as the bag is sewn shut, it is then tossed into the ocean. But don't worry, later on, these murderers would be given the option to either be placed inside the leather bag or be sent to perform at the Colosseum, where they can perform the act of being mauled to death in
Now,
front of
I
all
choose
their
the
loved ones and
Colosseum.
peers. You know, at
Yo,
least they have the
I could
option.
low-key fight them off.
Number 4, rat.
When playing games
Oh,
on PC,
you said what?
You'd have a better chance. You'd have a better chance, like with the bear, than you would the ocean.
Yeah, I could low-key. I could fight them off. They probably just keep adding them in
I
though.
wonder if someone had a clip with you in it.
Nah, I could look like.
Then go to albums. Clip
This is one of the
Oh
most
no!
What are you doing?
How did they get a bear?
Probably trap them in like a cage.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, I mean that's what I would think. You know,
sick punishments in all of human history, and it involves the use of rats. I will cover 2 of them
Hey,
here
Vitaly?
as they are very similar.
Oh,
The
yeah.
first use of this form of punishment dates back to 1568 during the 80 Years' War. A Dutch leader named Diederik Sonoy would often use this method of punishment,
got a
which
mean
involved
beard.
placing a
Or
rat
mustache.
inside
Appreciate
a
it.
clay bowl.
Yo, why someone in chat just say you're Riley an idiot?
Down on a
Someone just said you're Riley an idiot. Why somebody say that, yo? That's messed up, bro. Yo, then they go.
prisoner's stomach, chest,
Nah, thanks, I'm banning
face,
them.
or groin.
You said
The
what?
back of the bowl would be heated with either a
I mean,
torch
oh.
or
Nah, mod that guy, mod that guy.
causing the rat to go into a full-on
Time
panic,
out, time out
trying to
for,
escape from the
Oh.
heat. And its only way out was to burrow into the human.
How long you
Once
talking about?
inside, it would continue to chew and tear apart whatever was in its way, desperately searching for a way out.
Nah, I'm not
Eventually, the
talking
rat
about-
finds
Nah,
its
funny
way
joke,
out of the
funny joke.
maze and survives. The same could not be said for the prisoner. But the second method was much, much worse and was highly secretive since it was used under the guidance of the dictator Augusto Pinochet, where he held power from 1976 through 1980. They called it the rectoscope, and I'm sure you have already figured out where this is going. Yes, it's exactly what you think. They would place a tube on a prisoner's back door, then insert a rat inside of the tube. The rat would then begin to burrow its way in. These people were so sick that they actually expected the prisoners to answer questions while this was going on. Eventually, the rat would find its way in and begin to move forward to find its way out.
Oh,
Nobody
Ew,
really knows
man.
Dude,
how
what's up
many
with them
people died
rats?
from this punishment, but we
I don't know. They like butts and rats. You feel me?
yeah, they really do.
What do you mean?
do know that a ton of people went missing when this dictator was in charge. Number 3, gibbeting. The last known use was in the early 1900s in Afghanistan. This all came to light in 1921 when the National Geographic published this image in their magazine. This was also used in the United States from time to time during the 17th and 18th century. One notable example was in Boston, Massachusetts, where a few pirates were hung at the Boston Harbor, which served as a warning to any sailors that were approaching Boston. Now let's talk about England, since they love this form of punishment so much. In England, this was used on traitors, murderers, pirates, and thieves. But after the year 1752, the Murder Act was passed, which required that all convicted murderers must be put to death by being publicly dissected or by gibbeting of some sort. And over 134 confirmed people met this fate. The most common form of gibbeting were actually cages, and they looked like this. It was an all-steel cage that was shaped tightly to the form of a human body, which was so tight that it would not allow the person inside to move. They were then hung 30 feet or more off the floor, usually on a public road or waterhole, to ensure that the most amount of people could witness this monstrosity. But I could only assume this was more annoying than anything, since every time you get thirsty and needed to fill up your container of water, you would have to deal with the dying man begging you for a sip. But the annoyance and torture of the public didn't stop there, because after the criminals would die in the cages, the body would be left inside to rot for years and years on end, with the locals complaining that the smell of death was so pungent that they couldn't even sleep at night. There's even been reports that some human remains stayed inside of these cages for over 20 years, before a government official would finally remember to clean it out. Number 2, scaphism. This was a form of punishment that was used by the ancient Persian Empire on anyone that would be convicted of murder. First, the criminal would be placed inside of a boat on their backs and tied down. The boat had 4 holes cut out so that the person's arms and legs would be outside of the boat and in the water. They were then force-fed large quantities of honey and milk until their stomachs were visibly full. They would then proceed to lather their entire body with the milk and honey as well. After all these steps were completed, he was then pushed out to the middle of the lake where he was completely exposed to the heat of the sun. But the sun would soon become the least of his worries. You see, the reason they fed him milk and honey was not because it was a great last meal, but because this combination causes a person to get extreme diarrhea, which mixed with the sweet honey attracts rodents, bugs, wasps, bees,
Yo, we should look each
and
other.
whatever other animals live near the lake. After
Honey and
being
milk.
tormented by the animals throughout the entire night, you would think that the daytime
Y'all hear me?
maybe gets
we
a little
should try that.
better. No.
Yeah, that would like that's
Like-
a good punishment.
Yeah, that's a good punishment. Yeah, you can't. Never mind.
Because as soon as the sun
You want
rises
it.
the following
No.
day, the person inside of the boat gets another gigantic
Like,
meal
the
of
first
milk
one
and
to fuck
honey and an
themselves, like,
additional
losing friendship.
That would low-key be a good video. First one to poop themselves wins $100. I mean, no. Last one to poop themselves wins $100. You can't use the bathroom. Yeah. They know using the
What do you
bathroom.
mean last one?
Last to one.
Yeah, last one to poop themselves?
Yeah. Yo, are you here? Like what?
Unpause the video, bro.
Yeah. Go ban that guy.
Wait,
This
the
would be
last one
done on
to
a
poop the
daily
video
basis
loses?
to prolong the punishment for as long
Alright.
as possible. It was also
Yo,
well
Ben-
documented that the rodents
Yo,
would
Ben, that guy.
continuously attempt to burrow inside of the person through their back door. They were probably trying to get a head start on their next meal. A writer named John Sonaris wrote in great detail about one of these incidents. He would go on to say that it was one of the most horrid and cruel forms of punishment since it was terribly long and seemed to have no end in sight. He wrote about a man who survived for an entire 17 days before he finally
We should low-key
died
do
from
that
his
to Zach
wounds.
as a prank.
Apparently, the man spent his last few days with his entire face completely covered with wasps, and his flesh rotting away filled with swarms of parasites and worms, all while being covered in his own filth. Number 1. The oubliette. Oubliette simply means to forget in French. This was a punishment that was used in many places throughout history, including in the London Tower, which had a small and confined room called Little Ease. Not only was this room pitch black, it was also so small that prisoners could not sit, stand, or lay down while inside it, and they would be left in this uncomfortable position for days on end. One of the most famous oubliettes is not the one in the London Tower, but in the neighboring district of Warwick, inside of Warwick Castle. Here, deep underground in the castle's dungeons, is a very small and narrow cell, completely made of stone, which has a metal door to close it shut. Prisoners were tossed inside of the cell and forgotten about, as the name implies. The prisoner would just have to sit there and wait for their inevitable death, which usually came in a few days from dehydration or starvation. Now, of course, this would be the best case scenario, because in reality, most of the time there would already be a rotting corpse inside of the cell to keep the new prisoner company. The previous occupier of the cell would serve as a daily reminder of his upcoming fate, but that's not the only companions that he will have, since the underground dungeons are completely infested with rats that have developed a taste
Yo.
for human flesh. But wait, there's more.
Oh.
These oubliettes existed in many of the castles throughout Europe, and in recent times, they have actually discovered these dungeons with dozens, if not hundreds, of human remains inside of it, as proof that they were hardly ever cleaned. Like in Leap Castle of Ireland, where in 1900, during the castle's renovation, a worker found a small opening behind a wall inside of the chapel. This hole had an 8-foot drop that led to a large oubliette, and what the worker found inside shocked him, since it was filled with so many skeletons that they needed multiple cartloads to clear it all out. But just when you think this section is over, it just keeps on giving. You see, there's been many stories of men who have been placed inside one of these dungeons and kept alive for years and years on end, surviving off crumbs of food and minimal amounts of water, prolonging their inevitable demise for as long as humanly possible. These cells were sometimes even placed on ground level so they can hear the voices and laughter of the people outside. an experience that they will never get again in this lifetime.